For specifications, one question is what needs to be specified. So I'm just reading a little paragraph from one of the books in the library on specifications. It says, what needs to be specified? Typically, the specifier and the designers meet together to determine what the design includes. The specifier may say the designs, which tend to precede the specifications, but often it is determined early in the design documentation process that the specifier has issues for discussion that precede design development. For example, the specifier may ask whether there are toilet partitions in the design. The designer may say yes, but the materials and configuration of the toilet partitions have yet to be determined. This creates an action item for the designer to follow up on and the specifier to record on a list. So as you can see, you specify items as you go throughout the house and think of what needs to be designed in it. Here's a list of things that the specifications describe. It's kind of lengthy, so I'll just go through a few of them quickly. First, the type and quality of every product in the work. This is to every last detail. It also depends on what type, again, a specification you're going to use. And then it's quality of workmanship. This includes fabrication, application, manufacture, and finishings. It goes on to say that you need descriptions and procedures, along with dimensions, and also requirements for administration. So you can also see that list in the report. So to go back over specifications, there are closed and open. Closed are known as restrictive, and they must be specified with an exact trade name or style number. These promote a product. They're mostly done by manufacturers. There's two types. There's manufacturer and there's proprietary. Manufacturers promote the product, and they provide valuable information. It also is easier for designers because when you go to different manufacturer websites, you can click on an item and look up the specification, which allows you to see the details for that particular object. Then there's proprietary specifications, and these are closed and open, but in this situation they're closed because they're called base bid, which allows for no substitutions. On the bottom of the screen you can see an example. It got cut off a little bit, so it says with black leather upholstery, and that's an example of a line of specification. And then there's open, and these allow for consideration of other materials if under the modified or equal clause if it meets all aspects. There's four types. There's proprietary, descriptive, performance, and reference. So we'll go through each one and kind of explain a little bit more about them. The first one, proprietary. This is open under the equal clause, which allows consideration of other products that meet every aspect. There's a few disadvantages. It's hard to know whether the product is really equal. It also makes it more work for the designer because they have to determine whether both chairs are equal, which is a more time-consuming process. And then also it makes it more of a game of price comparison. They're more comparing the prices of the two chairs and really the quality of the chairs. Then descriptive specification. Like I said earlier, this is the most challenging to write, and this is because it shows all the details. An example here is if you were specifying carpet, you would show the type, whether it's tufted or woven, and then the pile yarn, the stitches per inch or wires, the pile height, and then coloration method. So as you can see, there'll probably be a lot more details, but that's just a short example of what would be some of the things that you'd have to specify. And then there's reference standard specs, and these on the other hand are the shortest specs, and these make reference to design standards and codes. Here is an example of performance. This, like I said earlier, shows in the spec you show and state the end result without stating the method to get there. And vendor has more of a choice of the product, which is kind of nice. As you can see, it says criteria, test, and requirements. And so you have to find, the vendor has to find whatever object or item you're looking for, and it has to meet the requirements, the criteria, and then meet the test that it describes. For liability, there's a little bit of an issue with liability for specifications. This is one quote that I wanted to read. It says, many professional groups feel that such increased liability in the long run hamper proper professional practice. Opponents of increased professional liability state that it has forced professionals into large organization, which has not always produced imaginative professional work. So they're kind of Now, saying that with all the legal issues with specifications, it kind of conforms the designer in their imagination, which in a way is good. It keeps us up to fire codes and items like that, but it also makes it harder to just do what you want as a designer. So here are a few precautions to take. Most of these are pretty obvious, but if you become a specifier, here's 6 precautions. The first one is perform within your area of expertise. So if someone asks you to write a spec that you don't know how to, either take lessons and learn how to do it, or just tell them that you can't. If you go out of your area of expertise, there could be problems with legal issues. Second, use concise contracts and specifications. Make sure to use the right specification for each item. Comply with codes and regulations. That one's pretty obvious. Secure the services of reputable contracts. Keep accurate records. This is very important. Make sure to write down who you specified for and when. And then secure liability insurance and legal counsel. So next we'll be talking about writing specifications and specification format.